Good morning, third grade class. Today's math is chapter 15 review. So this is a page normally where, remember how we just kind of throw you out there and see where you are, how many of these skills and information that we actually have a good grasp on and things that we need to keep working on or explain further. So for today on the chapter 15 review, I'm not going to go over the answers with you today, but I am going to go over what they're asking you to do just to make sure that you understand it. At this top section, right, they've given you four plane figures and they want you to label them. So the line underneath here, you need to tell me what type of shape it is. And they gave you a word box at the top. Not as hard as it seems initially. The section underneath, just tell me how many sides, angles, and vertices. So again, it's reviewing those terms. And if you can count the number of sides, how many angles, and how many vertices. I think you guys have a pretty good grasp on that. The next part is maybe a little more difficult, just probably something brand new that we've learned in the last week or so about describing relationships between two figures and whether they're similar or congruent. Similar means it's the same shape. Congruent, it's the same shape and the same size. Okay, so for number 5, you have two bags. They are the same shape, but they're not the same size. So we would describe those as being similar. Okay, so if they're exactly the same shape, same size, they're congruent. If one's bigger than the other, we would describe them as being similar. And that's something that you're going to come back to as we continue to build on your geometry knowledge here. The next section, 9 through 12, they give you two figures, and they want you to label whether from the first picture to the second picture, whether it was a slide, a flip, or a turn. So remember, a slide is where it looks like you just cut and paste and it's exactly the same. Flip is where one turns over. So if there's a black dot on one side, there will not be a black dot on the other side. And that's kind of your indicator that it was flipped over. A turn is exactly that. They've turned it 90 degrees, 180, etc. Okay? All right. At the bottom, they give you 3 possible lines of symmetry. They want you to trace the one that is an actual line of symmetry. Only one for each shape. And then underneath, they give you a line here. They want you to just label, what's the name of the figure? What do we call this 3-sided shape here? So you would just write the name of the shape there. Just seeing if you know your shapes, really. On the back, now we've moved from the planar to the solids, your 3-dimensional shapes. Here they give you a word bank. So these are the 6 types of shapes that you're going to be looking at. They did the first one for you, cube, and they want you to label these. So you're going to write the name in this box. You're just going to put an X whether it has faces. Does this shape have any flat faces? You'd put an X if it does. If it has edges, put an X there. And if it has vertices, just like a cube, right? It has 6 flat faces. It has edges. That's where we would draw the lines. There's straight edges. And the vertices, which are all the corners. So if it has points or corners, it has to have vertices. Okay, and remember, some of those don't have any faces, edges, or vertices. It only has curved surfaces. Okay. Here, from 22 down to 27, you're given a word description of one of these shapes from the top. So we're talking about the same shapes: cones, cubes, cylinders, rectangular prism, rectangular pyramid, and sphere. So you will use those same words. Here, though, they're describing faces and curved surfaces and vertices using words instead of a picture. Okay? All right. So what I do want to do with you today is this page, the Problem Solving Center. So if you want to pull that, it's the next sheet, 287. This one we are just looking at patterns. So if you want to pause the video and go ahead and do the top, they want you to continue the pattern. It would be helpful if you had markers or crayons because some of the pattern obviously involves colors too. So if you want to stop the video, go grab your supplies and come back and then hit resume. I'm just going to go ahead with my marker, and what we need to do is finish the pattern. So we're going to use the dots to finish the pattern. It's kind of a lot like connect the dots. Some of you are, this comes very easy, and for others of us, it's a little more work. But if you think of it like a connect the dots, it's not as hard. Okay, so all there are diagonals going through the boxes, right? So this one, the top one would be green and the other one would be blue. I'm going to color in the blue, what would be blue. So the ones I'm coloring in would be blue. The ones I'm leaving white, you would color green. So there we've finished, we've continued that pattern. Tessellations are a lot of fun. You can do several art projects with tessellations. Get some graph paper, make your own graph paper. Here we're going to draw the rectangles, and then we need to finish. Again, we have some diagonal lines, but they're going in the other direction. I'm going to color in what would be red. So these two triangles we would color in red. And these here, the ones I'm leaving white, would be blue. The last one makes like a chevron pattern. So again, here we're dealing with large triangles. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the big boxes. Here, our pattern goes back and forth. I'll color in what would be green. And the ones I'm leaving white would be yellow. Okay, so hopefully that helped. Had fun doing that. It's a different way of looking at shapes and fun that we can have. At the bottom, we again have these 5 figures: cylinders, cones, cube, rectangular prism, and rectangular pyramid. Remember, the pyramid, the first word refers to the shape of the base. The base of this pyramid is a rectangle, so that's why it's called a rectangular pyramid. What they've done is they've given us a picture of the surfaces, and if we could take those, what shape could I make? Well, here I have 6 faces that are exactly the same. They're all squares. So if I was to assemble those together to make a solid figure, which one of these 5 could I make? Yeah, we can make a cube, right? A cube is made of 6 squares, right? Those faces. What about here? We have 4 triangular faces and 1 square or rectangle face. Which one of these would that make? It would make a rectangular pyramid. So unlike the cone has a curved surface, the rectangular pyramid actually has flat triangular faces. Okay, the next one we have 1 flat round face and a curved surface. Which of these goes with that? And you probably said cone, if I could hear you. Yeah. That would be nice. Cone, what about, oh, here we go. We have 4 rectangular faces and 2 squares. Yeah, the rectangular prism. And this is a long one. My marker doesn't write as small as your pencils can, but you might want to give yourself a little bit of room there. Prism, P-R-I-S-M, prism. And what about the last one? We have 2 circles, 2 flat circle faces, and then we have a rectangle, which we could bend it to make a curved surface, couldn't we? Right, so this we could make a cylinder. If I had a cylinder and I wanted to cover it with paper, these would be the shapes I would cut out and then glue to the ends, and I could cover the shape. So I hope you've been enjoying learning about these shapes and identifying shapes around your house, of how we put different shapes together to make things. You can look around for cones are a little harder to find, but see how many cylinders and cubes, rectangular prisms and pyramids you find around your house, and impress your family on how much you've learned in this unit. All right, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye.